The aliens thought they were the smartest beings in the galaxy. They had conquered weak planets before, tricking civilizations into signing unfair deals. When they arrived on Earth, they saw humans as nothing more than another easy target. Their leader, Supreme Negotiator Exilox, stood before the United Nations, offering an irresistible deal. We will give you technology beyond your imagination machines that cure diseases, build cities overnight, and take you to the stars. In return, we only ask for a small portion of your planet's resources. The humans, amazed by the promise of such advancements, gathered their best diplomats and scientists to review the agreement. The aliens were confident. They had done this before. Every species they encountered had signed without question, too blinded by greed and ambition to notice the hidden traps in the contract. But humans were different. Dr. Helen Carter, a sharp-eyed scientist, read through every page of the alien contract. Something felt wrong. The wording was too vague, the terms too open-ended. With careful analysis, she found the trick. The small portion of Earth's resources actually meant complete control over Earth's energy, water, and even human labor. If humans signed, they wouldn't just lose their planet, they would become slaves. At the final meeting, Selleck smirked, waiting for the humans to sign. But instead, Dr. Carter stood up. "This contract is a trap," she announced. The room went silent. She explained everything, showing how the aliens planned to take over Earth without firing a single shot. The world united. Governments, armies, and even ordinary people came together to fight against the alien deception. The aliens, caught off guard, tried to threaten humanity with their superior weapons. But they had underestimated the stubbornness of humans. A war broke out, not a war of weapons, but a war of intelligence. Humans hacked into the alien systems, blocked their communications, and even tricked them into signing their own flawed contract. The tables had turned. Now, instead of ruling over Earth, the aliens found themselves trapped under a new agreement, one that forced them to work under human law. Their advanced technology was confiscated, their ships grounded, and their leader, Supreme Negotiator Exilox, was given a job flipping burgers at a fast food restaurant. The once proud conqueror stood behind the greasy counter wearing a paper hat. "Would you like fries with that?" he asked through gritted teeth. Across the world, aliens were assigned minimum wage jobs. Some cleaned streets, others worked in grocery stores, and a few unfortunate ones were stuck in call centers, handling customer complaints. The tricksters had been tricked. And the humans? They were just getting started. The galaxy had long known of the mighty Terrakian Empire, a civilization that ruled countless planets with an iron fist. Their ships were faster than light, their weapons could destroy cities in seconds, and their warriors were unbeatable. They had conquered countless species, bringing them to their knees. So, when they finally set their sights on Earth, they believed it would be no different. The Terrakians arrived on Earth with an offer humans couldn't refuse, or so they thought. Their leader, Commander Kator, spoke to the United Nations from his massive ship hovering above the planet. "We offer you a deal, Earthlings. We will share our technology, our knowledge, everything you need to advance beyond your wildest dreams. In return, we only ask for one thing, a small portion of your natural resources. With this, you will thrive, and we will continue our peaceful relationship." The humans were stunned. Machines that could end hunger, cure diseases, and take humanity to the stars? It was a dream come true. The Terrakians promised them a future filled with prosperity. But there was a catch. Humans didn't know it yet, but the Terrakians had a plan, one that would give them control over Earth's most valuable resources and strip humanity of its freedom. But humans weren't as naive as the Terrakians thought. Dr. Ethan Hayes, a young physicist from Australia, didn't trust the Terrakians from the beginning. Something about their offer seemed too good to be true. After weeks of analyzing their technology and watching their actions closely, Dr. Hayes discovered the truth. The Terrakians were not offering an alliance, they were setting up a long-term extraction operation. They intended to drain Earth's resources, leaving humans with nothing but scraps, while they took the wealth of the planet for themselves. The Terrakian deal had a hidden clause that would make Earth's resources legally theirs. All the technology humans received would be controlled by the Terrakians, and humans would have to work for them as low-wage laborers, essentially becoming slaves on their own planet. The humans were furious. They couldn't let this happen. A resistance movement grew. People from all corners of the Earth came together to fight back against the alien invaders. Dr. Hayes and his team of engineers worked day and night, devising a way to disable the Terrakian ships and take control of their communications. It wasn't easy. The Terrakians had advanced technology beyond anything humans had ever seen. But humanity's strength was in its ingenuity, and soon they had a plan. In a daring mission, the humans hacked into the Terrakian systems and exposed the truth to the world. The Terrakians were no longer seen as benevolent beings offering a gift. Instead, they were revealed as the ruthless conquerors they truly were. The people of Earth were ready for war. The Resistance launched a global offensive, not with weapons, but with strategy and willpower. They attacked Terrakian supply lines, sabotaged their ships, and blocked their communications. The Terrakians, who had once believed themselves invincible, were thrown into chaos. And then, the unexpected happened. In a surprise move, the humans launched a counteroffer to the Terrakians: work for us. Stay on Earth, but under human law. You can live here, but only as workers, and only if you agree to a minimum wage. Commander Kator and his commanders laughed at the offer. You think we will work for you? We are gods compared to you. You will regret this. But they didn't have much choice. The Terrakians had been defeated, their ships grounded, their weapons useless. The humans had won the battle not through force, but through intelligence and unity. The Terrakians were forced to agree. Now, the once proud warriors were reduced to working in human-run stores, doing jobs they had once seen as beneath them. Commander Kator, once a powerful leader feared across the galaxy, found himself scanning groceries at a supermarket checkout. The once untouchable alien warriors stood behind counters, handing out change to customers, taking orders at fast food restaurants, and even working in construction sites. The Terrakian Empire had been reduced to a few hundred disgruntled aliens, all working for minimum wage. The humans couldn't help but smile. They had turned the tables on their would-be conquerors, forcing them to live the life they had planned for humanity. The Terrakians were now the ones who needed permission to use the resources of Earth, and they had to obey the humans' rules. As time passed, the aliens began to adapt to their new life. They learned the language, learned how to manage their paychecks, and even began to understand the frustrations of humans. Some of them grew bitter, while others accepted their new fate. But one thing was certain: they would never again underestimate the power of humanity. Humans, once at the mercy of an alien empire, were now the masters of their own world. And the Terrakians, once proud galactic rulers, were just another part of the workforce, a reminder of the incredible resilience of humankind. The galaxy might still know the Terrakian Empire as a mighty force, but Earth would remember them as nothing more than cashiers. The skies above Earth shimmered with the arrival of the Exaltar, a race of aliens known across the universe for their advanced technology and military might. For centuries, they had conquered planets, leaving civilizations in ruins. Their ships, powered by energy sources unknown to humans, could annihilate armies with a single pulse. No species had ever dared to defy them. When the Exaltar set their sights on Earth, they didn't bother with subtlety. Their leader, Supreme Commander Zorith, broadcasted a message to the people of Earth: "We are the Exaltar. We offer you a chance to thrive under our protection. In exchange, you will provide us with resources and labor. If you resist, we will take what we want by force." For most of Earth's population, the message was clear: submit or face destruction. Governments and military leaders quickly debated what to do. The truth was, humanity had no way to defend against such a powerful force. The Exaltar were far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. But Dr. Elena Ruiz, a young scientist working at a top-secret government research facility, refused to accept the aliens' terms. She had spent years studying alien technology and had a deep understanding of how different species operated. Something about the Exaltar's proposal didn't sit right with her. She suspected that the aliens were hiding something. While the world scrambled to prepare for the worst, Dr. Ruiz started investigating the Exaltar's technology. What she discovered shocked her. The Exaltar were not as invincible as they appeared. Their technology was powerful, but it relied on a massive, complicated system that, if disrupted, could be disabled. The key was to hit them where they least expected through their communication networks. Working with a small group of brilliant engineers, Dr. Ruiz and her team developed a plan to hack into the Exaltar's central communication hub. The mission was dangerous, but it was humanity's best hope. As the world held its breath, the team launched their cyber attack. The Exaltar, who had been confident that Earth was helpless before them, were blindsided. Their systems, once flawless, began to falter. They tried to fight back, but their communications were severed, their fleets grounded, and their weapons deactivated. It was over. The Exaltar had been defeated not by force, but by human ingenuity. But the humans didn't stop there. Instead of wiping out the Exaltar entirely, they decided to make them pay for their arrogance in a way the aliens could never have imagined. "You want resources?" Dr. Ruiz declared. "You want labor? Then you will work for us." Supreme Commander Zorith and his warriors, once the most feared conquerors in the galaxy, were now at the mercy of humanity. Their advanced ships were reduced to scrap, their power was taken away, and they were forced to accept a humiliating reality. They had to work for the very species they had intended to enslave. The first job assignment? Working in a call center. Zorath, once a supreme leader, sat behind a desk, a headset on his head, staring at a computer screen. "Thank you for calling Galactic support. How can I help you today?" he said through clenched teeth. He had spent his entire life commanding armies, overseeing conquests, and ruling planets. Now, he was reading from a script, trying to help a frustrated human with their billing issue. His second-in-command, Kelthar, was no better off. He was stuck answering phones for a telecom company, listening to angry customers complain about dropped calls and bad service. The irony was not lost on him. They had come to Earth to enslave its people, and now they were answering to them. No one had warned them about this. The other Exaltar warriors weren't faring much better. Some worked at fast food restaurants, serving meals to humans who didn't hesitate to remind them of their new place in society. Others were cleaning office buildings, mopping floors, and taking out the trash. The once proud conquerors were now the underdogs, doing jobs they had once seen as beneath them. The humans watched with quiet satisfaction as the aliens adjusted to their new life. It wasn't just the jobs that were humiliating. It was the realization that they had been bested by the very species they had sought to dominate. The Exaltar, who had once viewed humans as insignificant, now had to answer to them. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The Exaltar slowly adapted to their new lives, learning how to handle customer complaints, manage their time, and even pick up some of Earth's quirky customs. Some of them even began to form friendships with them. Humans they worked with. The resentment didn't disappear, but it faded into an uneasy acceptance. Commander Zorath, once a feared leader, had become a symbol of humiliation. Every day, he struggled with the knowledge that he was just another worker, bound by the rules of a system he had once sought to destroy. And as the Exaltar toiled away, answering calls, serving food, and cleaning floors, one thing became clear: humanity had turned the tables. The invaders had become the ones who were now controlled. The aliens had come to conquer, but in the end, they had ended up in a call center. The Azrakhan Empire was one of the most feared and powerful civilizations in the galaxy. For centuries, they had expanded their reach, crushing smaller species and forcing planets to bow to their will. Their fleet was unstoppable, their technology advanced beyond comprehension, and their warriors were unmatched in battle. No one had ever dared to challenge the Azrakhan's.so when they set their sights on Earth. They expected nothing less than a smooth and effortless conquest. Their leader, Emperor Talthor, made a public announcement to the people of Earth. "We come not to destroy, but to offer you a place in our empire. Accept our terms, and you will benefit from the power of the Azrakhan civilization. Refuse, and we will take your world by force." The people of Earth trembled. The military was no match for the Azrakhan fleet. Governments debated, and leaders panicked. Earth had never faced an enemy like this. But in the midst of the chaos, a small group of brilliant minds had a different idea. Dr. Naomi Williams, a leading expert in alien technologies, believed that the Azrakans' apparent invincibility was a lie. The Azrakans had a one they had never considered. While their technology was powerful, it relied on an incredibly delicate system. Dr. Williams and her team quickly realized that if they could disrupt the Azrakans' power grid, their entire fleet would be crippled. As tensions rose, humanity worked together to launch a secret operation to disable the Azrakan fleet. Using their knowledge of alien systems, they sent a virus into the Azrakans' communications network, causing their ships to lose power, their weapons to malfunction, and their command systems to shut down. The Azrakans were paralyzed. Without their technology and without their military might, the Azrakan Empire had no choice but to surrender. They were outmatched, outsmarted, and humiliated. Their once mighty fleet was rendered useless, and their invincible warriors were now facing a new, unexpected fate. Humanity wasn't interested in wiping them out. Instead, they had a much more fitting punishment in mind. The Azrakans would work for them. "You came to take what wasn't yours," Dr. Williams declared, standing before the broken empire. "Now, you will pay for your arrogance. You will stay on Earth, but you will work for us. Your technology, your ships, they belong to us now. And you? You'll be doing the jobs you once thought were beneath you." Emperor Talthor was forced to kneel before her. The once proud conqueror, who had ruled countless planets, had no choice but to accept the terms. The Azrakan warriors, who had once stood tall and proud, now had to bow their heads and accept their fate. Their first task? Cleaning. It was a strange, ironic twist of fate. The very warriors who had crushed civilizations were now scrubbing toilets, mopping floors, and dusting shelves in human-run offices. The emperor himself, who had commanded legions of soldiers, found himself assigned to a janitorial crew in a government building. Dressed in a blue uniform with a mop in hand, he had to wipe down the floors of the very place where his own plans for conquest had been devised. His soldiers, once fierce and powerful, were now cleaning restrooms in shopping malls, sweeping the streets, and wiping down windows in high-rise buildings. No longer could they wear their battle armor or issue commands. They were nothing more than ordinary janitors, forced to clean up the mess they had hoped to make of Earth. It was a humiliating sight. The Azrakans, who had once believed themselves to be gods, now had to endure the most degrading tasks humans could offer. And the humans, who had once been on the brink of extinction, now stood tall, watching their former enemies as they scrubbed and cleaned. At first, the Azrakans resisted. They thought they could fight back. They tried to sabotage their assignments, to rebel, but humanity had thought of everything. Every attempt was met with punishment. The Azrakans, once so proud, were now completely dependent on humans for survival. Their advanced technology, which had been the source of their power, was now being used to monitor their every move. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Slowly, the Azrakans began to accept their fate. They learned how to clean properly, how to work with humans, and how to adapt to their new roles. Emperor Talthor, once a figure of immense power, became a quiet symbol of humility, sweeping floors in the dimly lit hallways of government buildings. It wasn't just the tasks that were humiliating, it was the realization that they had been bested by a species they had once considered inferior. The Azrakans, who had ruled the galaxy with an iron fist, were now living in a world where they had to follow the rules of the very species they had hoped to dominate. Humanity had taken their revenge, not with weapons, but with their ability to think, to plan, and to outsmart the invaders. The Azrakans, who had once taken pride in their empire, had been reduced to janitors, forced to do the very work they had looked down upon. And Earth, once on the verge of destruction, was now the most powerful planet in the galaxy. The Azrakan Empire had fallen, not because they were defeated in battle, but because humanity had shown them that the greatest strength lay in intelligence, not brute force. The Azrakans were no longer conquerors. They were janitors, and Earth was the master. The Karnak Empire was known throughout the universe for its ruthless conquests. A brutal and efficient military force, the Karnak warriors had brought fear to countless civilizations. Their towering ships, made of indestructible metal, could cut through the atmosphere of any planet like a knife through butter. With unmatched weapons and an army of merciless soldiers, they had wiped out species in the blink of an eye. The people of Earth had heard of them, but no one truly believed they would come. When the Karnak fleet arrived above Earth, they were not subtle. Their leader, General Cathor, spoke in a cold, booming voice across the planet. "Humans, your world is ours. Surrender your resources, your labor, and your future, or face your extinction. We do not negotiate with inferior species." The Earth's leaders had no choice but to listen. The Karnak's military strength was overwhelming. No army on Earth could stand against them, and their ships were impervious to any weapon Earth had. The people of Earth, terrified, prepared for the worst. But Dr. Olivia Blackwell, an unassuming scientist from a small town in Canada, wasn't afraid. While the world's governments scrambled to negotiate with the Karnak, Dr. Blackwell had been studying their technology. She was a genius in quantum mechanics, and she noticed something strange in the Karnak ships, an unusual vulnerability in their energy systems. It was a small flaw. If it could be exploited, the entire Karnak fleet could be neutralized. Dr. Blackwell worked tirelessly, assembling a team of scientists and engineers. Together, they created a one that would target the Karnak's energy grid and bring their fleet to a halt. After weeks of planning, they launched their cyber attack. The Karnak, who had thought their superiority was unquestionable, were caught completely off guard. Their fleets lost power, their communications were jammed, and their once unstoppable military was rendered useless. General Cathor, confused and desperate, attempted to organize a counterattack, but it was too late. The Karnak's weapons and ships had all fallen silent. As the last Karnak ship descended into Earth's atmosphere, crashing in a fireball of sparks and metal, humanity won. But Earth didn't seek revenge. Instead, they decided on a punishment far more humiliating than annihilation. "You came to take what was ours," Dr. Blackwell addressed the defeated Karnak warriors. "Now, you will work for us." General Cathor, once a fierce leader feared across the galaxy, stood in silence, facing the consequences of his empire's greed. The humans had offered them a choice. They could leave Earth, forever banished from this world, or they could stay and serve humanity. And so, the mighty Karnak warriors, who had once crushed entire planets under their boots, were reduced to a new, humiliating existence. They were forced to work as waiters in Earth's bustling restaurants. It wasn't long before General Cathor and his warriors were wearing white shirts, black pants, and bow ties. They found themselves balancing trays of food, taking orders, and serving customers who never hesitated to comment on their new roles. At first, the Karnak soldiers refused. They thought their dignity was too high for such tasks. But as the days passed and they saw no way to escape, they were forced to comply. General Cathor himself, the very warrior who had once commanded armies, now stood at a table, nervously asking, "What can I get for you today, sir?" The once feared warriors were now bending over backwards to serve humans, their pride shattered with every plate they carried. They had expected to rule Earth, to enslave its people, but now they were the ones following orders, struggling to balance trays of food while serving customers who complained about their service. It was a punishment like no other. Some Karnak warriors tried to escape. They plotted to overthrow their new masters, believing that their strength could still outmatch the humans. But each attempt ended in failure. The humans had outsmarted them, and any sign of rebellion was swiftly crushed. Those who tried to resist were assigned even more degrading tasks, cleaning the floors, washing dishes, and even washing windows. As the months passed, the Karnak warriors, once a proud and powerful force, began to change. The anger that had burned inside them slowly began to die down. They learned how to smile politely at customers, how to take orders with a sense of dignity, and how to carry trays without dropping them. General Cathor, who had once led the charge in the destruction of planets, found himself developing a strange sense of humility. He began to understand what it meant to serve, to wait on others, and how important every small detail of human life was. His military might had crumbled, but here, in a small diner in downtown New York, he was learning the value of patience and kindness. The humans watched all of this with quiet satisfaction. The Karnak, who had once planned to rule over them, were now living among them, working jobs they had once considered beneath them. And the warriors who had come to conquer Earth had become the servants of the very people they had tried to enslave. One evening, as General Cathor set a plate of food down on a table, a customer smiled up at him. "Thank you," the customer said. "You're doing a great job." For the first time, General Cathor looked down at the plate, then at the smiling human, and realized something he hadn't before. He had learned what it meant to be human, to serve others, and to find honor in the simplest of tasks. The mighty Karnak Empire had fallen not by force, but by the will of humans who had outsmarted them, forced them into humility, and turned their warriors into waiters. And Earth, once a planet on the brink of destruction, had become the ruler of its own fate.